What's up, guys and gals, and welcome to Veve Vibes, where I love talking all things NFTs, speculation, and of course the market. So this video is kind of a two-parter. It's a little bit my take on the difference between Grails and blue chips and even A-tier NFTs, as well as, if you guys are anything like me, I love tier lists. So do I feel like a lot of other content creators, because it's kind of a very easy way to put up a video or do a thing on Twitter and kind of get some community feedback and just get some talk going. Mainly wanted to make this video because this has been a topic that I've been thinking about for quite some time. And on top of that, things on the market on Veve are really, really cheap, very inexpensive to compare to what they were, 2, 3, 4, 5, even 5 months ago, coming up to 5 months at this point. And I think a lot of people are wondering, like, hey, what should I buy? I have 1,000 gems, 2,000 gems. Should I buy this golden moment versus this SR collectible, or this versus that? So I think there's a lot of people asking those questions. What should I invest in because things are so cheap? I think this is a good way for not only myself, but also you and other content creators to kind of figure out what's the difference between Grails and blue chips, and then where do those collectibles that lie within that realm. So let's go ahead and pretty much just hop into it. Here it is right here. It's actually a tier list. I'll go ahead and put a link in the description. Also put it up on Twitter as well. A link that you guys can fill out the tier list yourself, and you guys can put them wherever you want. It says right here, Veve, Grails, blue chip, a tier list, all that stuff. Do you consider Grails and blue chips to be different on Veve? What is your criteria for Grail versus blue chip collectible? Put your ranking below. Do you consider things like popularity of the IP/character, number of mints, current and future pricing, significance of the character and stories, or in real life? So like, what was their significance in stories? I think another thing too is just kind of talking about untapped markets. So like, hey, if this market does come in of a certain IP or a certain group of people, how significant is this NFT going to pump versus some other NFTs for the most part? So I kept this pretty open-ended, but I did put in a couple things that you kind of take into consideration for Grails versus blue chips. And for me, at least for me, Grails is something where it hits all the criteria. It hits the low mint mark, relatively low mint. I know low mint means a little bit something, it means something different to everyone. So it's like relatively low mint. It's an incredibly popular IP. 99% of the time they're usually FA, and they have some sort of huge significance, or they're very popular in current media, and they're going to continue to be popular forever, right? They could be timeless for the most part, because certain characters could fall in and out of popularity given enough time, but just certain characters or IPs will just forever be popular no matter what, for the most part. So yeah, we'll go ahead and hop into it. So right here, I just grabbed a lot of the pretty significant FAs, as well as, some pretty important IPs, or what some people might consider blue chips or Grails or this or that. I know I have a whole lot of NFTs that are missing. I don't have comic books in here either, because that just is just going to double this list and make it more confusing. And sometimes it's really hard to compare comics versus collectibles in certain areas, especially when you're talking the upper end of things, for the most part. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So first things first is the Aston Martin. By the way, this is the mint. This isn't like the 7 mint version. This is like the 507 mint, but technically it's like 400 something, because Veve took a lot of them as well. In my personal opinion, I'd probably put this, I think a while ago I would have put this in Grail tier. For now, I'm probably going to put it in blue chip. I'll probably put the 7 mint version obviously in Grail, just because there's only 7 mints, but I think the 507 version is still a blue chip. It is easily the most recognizable cars, the most popular car. Anyone that's a car collector, it's probably one of the most recognizable cars in Hollywood as well. So I really, really like the Aston Martin for the most part. So that's why I'm putting it up in blue chip as well, because in my mind, again, Grail hits all those tiers. Blue chip is a very solid investment. It's a popular IP and all that stuff. But sometimes the only thing that's like kind of holding it back is like sometimes a little bit of higher mints, maybe the popularity, or maybe the community at large. Like there just isn't enough there to really like drive up the price super high, or maybe there's just not enough, or sometimes there's, like I said before, just too many mints at times. So 2099 Spider-Man, man. This one is really tough to decide. I would say of all of the, obviously, Marvel Mighties, I would say it's probably the best. And I'm not also doing this ranking just strictly by most expensive going to cheapest, right? Because I do think some of the NFTs are actually, I'm going to put value higher than some other NFTs that might be higher priced or have lower mints. Again, this is all very subjective for the most part. So me personally, I'll probably put Spider-Man 2099 up in blue chip for the most part. I would probably put on the lower end of blue chip, and I also do my tier listings from top to bottom, left to right, for the most part. So, man, Secret Rare Black Panther. I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but I'm actually gonna put him in A tier. I know he's a really, really good, really popular superhero, but I'm just not sure how much further along down the line they're gonna keep doing Black Panther movies. His mint numbers are a little on the high end. I think he actually has the highest mint numbers of any of the Marvel secret rare collectibles for the most part. So the collectibles kind of on the high end when it comes to mint numbers, and I just think that there's some more somewhat significant characters that have also been popular for a longer period of time. So we'll go ahead and continue on. Bubbles, season 1, most expensive of the 3 Powerpuff Girls. With her, personally, I want to put her in A tier. I know she's expensive. She's series 1 and she has very, very low mints. But me personally, I'd rather invest in something, because I feel like what's really carrying a lot of, especially some of these more, I mean, we'll even grab Donnie here. I'm going to put probably Donnie here, either an A tier or under A tier, because I feel like I'm actually going to put him under A tier right now, just because it's more of a novelty. It's not something that, like, is there a huge and massive following for Powerpuff Girls versus Marvel versus Disney versus DC? Not likely at all, in my opinion. But a lot of it is just because these two NFTs are just kind of getting carried by their mint numbers and just the novelty that it's really early, low mints, and it's season 1. That's pretty much it in my personal opinion. So I also think that these would be kind of difficult to sell. You'd probably have an infinitely easier time grabbing some of these other NFTs for a similar price and be able to sell it much easier, also for a bigger profit margin, in my personal opinion. Steve Rogers. So big contention here. I was almost this close to putting the secret rare version of Captain America up here, and I probably still could have, but I figured, you know, I'll put Steve Rogers up here as well. So I think Steve Rogers is a very solid investment. I do think the fact that he's a Marvel Mighty might rub people the wrong way as well. So for now, I'll probably put him above Bubbles, but still below secret rare Black Panther. So I'm going to put him there. Again, I'm not ordering these and just like, well, most expensive is at the top, right? Just Grail territory. Yes and no, but also I'm also taking it into a gem for gem basis too as well. Like, what's going to give you the highest return as well. Cat Bronson. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to put it under A tier. And again, under A tier just means, you know, none of these are trash. It's just, they're just not in that upper echelon, in my opinion. I just think, obviously, I think it has like 888 mints, which is awesome. But at the same time, I do think the following of Cat Bronson is pretty niche, especially when you're comparing it to things like Marvel and all that other stuff. So again, I think it's really, really hard for a lot of these independent artists or some of these smaller IPs to really thrive when you do have some of the harder hitting companies that are already on Veve as well. So here we are. So this one, Coca-Cola. So this one I thought about too. I was like, should I put the polar bear one or should I put the secret rare version? In this case, I'm kind of putting both together for the most part. It is a bit weird. It's also like a seasonal NFT for the most part. It's like, yeah, the snow globe and the polar bear is like a classic Coca-Cola thing. But then again, is it really only going to be significant for a month and a half out of 12 months of the year for the most part? Me personally, if I had to invest, I'd probably put it at the very bottom of A tier, in my opinion. As we add more of these together, you guys are going to kind of understand my thought process going from top to bottom, left to right. Deadpool. I would put Deadpool. Unfortunately, I'm going to put him in A tier, but above Black Panther, mostly due to Deadpool, I think. Has it been a little bit more well received? I do think he's going to have some more movies coming up here in the near future with Ryan Reynolds, and on top of that, yeah, he's just a very meme character. I do think people like him for the memes, and on top of that, his mint numbers are relatively low. I don't know the exact amount off the top of my head, but I do know his secret rare numbers are pretty low, and he has a history of hitting those really, really high numbers as well. I think even higher than secret rare Black Panther. So I know they both came into Veve at different times, but yeah. Going forward, I'm definitely putting Dr. Doom up here in blue chip territory. I'm almost debating on putting him above Spider-Man 2099. And I think I'll probably do that. It's really hard to think both. I think these are neck and neck, but if I had to give a slight edge to one or the other, it would probably be Dr. Doom. I think villains are going to do extremely well if there's any kind of gamification for the Marvel Mighties and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, Spider-Man 2099 is going to do well, but until we see a lot of movies or a lot of occurrences of this character, Spider-Man 2099, I don't think it's going to be as coveted as Dr. Doom for the most part. Like, Dr. Doom is, I think, the main thematic villain when it comes to Marvel for the most part. This is the ultra rare Dragon Girl, which is actually more expensive than the secret rare version. Not entirely sure why. I do think this has a relatively low mid number for the most part. Again, for something like this, I do think it's relatively niche. I do think this is like the very last collectible that ever dropped in season 1, for the most part. So I'm gonna put it down here in under A tier. Again, I'm not saying things in under A tier are trash. It's just like I'd rather invest in some of these other things first before I invest in Dragon Girl or Cat Bronson or I can't even afford Donnie, so I'm kind of leaving that as is. So man, Flash, this one's really tough. Part of me really wants me to put it in like blue chip territory, because I think a lot of people have forgotten that like in the month of May right now, it's like, look, we got the Star Wars comic, we got Strange Tales 110, which is also FA version of Doctor Strange. I mean, we got FA Flash, we got FA Thor, like all in the same month. So we have yet to have some of the other drops happen later this month, potentially more Star Wars, it seems likely. Part of me, it's like, I think people are really sleeping on the concept of Flash. Like, dude, the fact that it's a battle statue and it has Superman alongside with him, does that suck? Yes. What I would have ideally liked him to be more of a blind box format and just as a standalone character, yes, but it is what it is, and at the end of the day, it's still Flash. I'll probably still put him in solid A tier. If it was a standalone character and he was doing some cool animations, or if there's like a secret rare, ultra rare version, I definitely want to put it up in blue chip. But I think with the battle statue and all that stuff, and just kind of like I really think Batman versus Killer Croc killed it for battle statues just going forward. So unfortunately, I'm not to put Flash there. XL Apes, I think I'm actually going to put it in A tier. And that's mostly because there is an entire community around like the Omi Kongs and all that stuff, and Ape Gang and Bored Ape Yacht Club, so pretty much anything related to apes, especially like a limited number mint run and all that stuff. And we do expect some like these type of NFTs to be on Immutable X first. I actually think of most of the IPs or most of the things that did drop out of Decon the first time around, I do think the gold ape is actually pretty good. It's not, I don't think it's under A tier for the most part, but I do think it's on the lower end of A tier in my personal opinion. I'd still probably put it under Coke, but it's still up there. Man, Goofy. Yeah, dude, the lenticular cards are really struggling right now in the market. And I know there's a lot. It's really gonna have to shake out between how people feel about having certain NFTs be first appearances on comics versus collectibles and all that stuff, because I know there's a big argument happening right now with the Star Wars comics where it's like, well, it shows Vader, it shows Han, it shows Luke Skywalker, like that's their first appearance with the blockchain. That's a huge deal. I will say if people take that side of things, I do think Goofy would be in blue chip, like pretty decently high blue chip in my opinion, probably like around here. But if the community doesn't really take that stance, it's probably still an A tier. I do think the lenticular cards in general are still very, very fantastic investments. If that's the case, I'd probably put it around here. I know it's hard to tell because I'm not just talking about Goofy, I'm talking like the lenticular cards in general. Again, I think all this is very interesting because it's pretty subjective and you can kind of take this in a lot of different directions. So for now, I'm putting it up here. FA Harley Quinn, I'll probably put this in blue chip category. It's one of the more significant kind of villains against Batman. I'm also going to put probably Joker up here too. Joker above this. I really want to put Joker above both of these for the most part. I do think Joker would probably sit in between here, to be honest. This like the whole Marvel thing really leans on gamification. If there's not any gamification at all whatsoever, I'll probably put Joker above. But the fact that we're just not sure, I would almost like put these tied for the most part. But FA Joker, I do think is a very, very big deal, and I do think people are sleeping on FA Joker for the most part. And same thing with Harley. So very significant characters. Season one, right? Season one, but they're not series one for the most part. Banned Mickey. Unfortunately, I have to put it under A tier. Like Mickey is still like, people are still going to buy this, like don't get me wrong, but I do think it has relatively high mints, like the ultra rare version. I do think people are going to end up wanting to buy Steamboat Willie or the lenticular card more than likely before the marching band one, and it's definitely not the last Mickey we're going to get. I do think there's still some better Mickeys out there, like Fantasia Mickey. There's probably a couple other ones that I can't think of right now. So as of right now, and I do know it's still Mickey at the end of the day, but it's probably one of the lesser known or the lesser appreciated Mickeys, which is the band version. Man, Pride is definitely up here. Almost like, is it like a hardcore Grail? In my personal opinion, probably not. man, part of me really wants to put above the 007 vehicle, and so that's pretty much what I'm gonna do. And again, I'm kind of thinking like down the line too, right? Like if there's a lot of people that like cars or into Hollywood or 007, like there's a lot of different avenues why people would buy the 007 vehicle for the most part. But when it comes to Da Vinci, you have to like understand the artist, you have to kind of believe in a lot of like the same concepts and things like that. So it's very different, but the fact that Givenchy has had some success on other platforms when it comes to NFTs, I do think it's pretty high up on the blue chip scale for the most part. So, and I'm also considering mass appeal as well, so which is why I'm probably going to put R2D2 here at blue chip, pretty much at the very top of blue chip. Borderline Grail. I do think whatever is the top 2 golden moments are going to end up being Grails for the most part. As of right now, it's R2 and Walt, but if I venture to guess if there's a golden moment Vader or some other very large golden moment character that will dethrone R2, I do think that. But even for now, I do think R2 is a very high tier blue chip for the most part. These next few ones are pretty easy. I'm just gonna kind of throw these up because also the video is getting a little on the long side. So I'm gonna put up Rizzo, as well as man, Steamboat Willie. Honestly, it genuinely does belong in Grail category, but it's really getting stomped on in the market. I do think the fact that it even reached 10K at some point means a lot. The mint numbers are relatively low. The historical significance of just the Mickey character or Steamboat Willie is absolutely massive. It's the, you know, it all started with the mouse, right? At the end of the day, even though it doesn't have a tag, I do think this is probably the best untagged NFT that is possibly on the platform. And honestly, if you can't afford a Walt / Mickey, because that's a double FA golden moment, the next best thing in my mind is Steamboat Willie. So, and I think if people are fans of Mickey, you can't afford Walt, the next best thing is Steamboat Willie. So for now, I'll probably put it above Pride, below R2 for now. But I think these two could battle it out, given enough time. Secret Rare Spider-Man. I know I kind of glazed over Rizzo. I think they're pretty much a pair. I'm also going to throw Todd up here as well. The Grails I can't even put from left to right. I guess if I had to, I'd probably do something like this. Sorry about that. Throw Walt. I know I'm kind of just throwing things up here now, but in my personal opinion, I do think Walt will be higher than Secret Rare Spider-Man given enough time. Even though it has basically more than 4 times the amount of mints of Secret Rare Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's the first Marvel drop, and yada. If there's any utility that Disney's going to implement for any of their NFTs, Walt's going to have the best utility possible. So I know as of right now, both of these NFTs are kind of down in price. Walt is up here at the top, in my personal opinion, assuming that there's going to be some crazy utility, which I can only imagine Disney's going to be doing eventually. They're going to give the best utility possible to Walt over Secret Rare Spider-Man, if even the Marvel characters even get utility. Walt between Walt and Rizzo, I don't know. Like these two are at the same thing. I'll put Todd above here. Man, Superman. This one's tough. I know there's a lot of people that think Superman is just a grail. I would say just the historical aspects of Superman. Currently, I think a lot, like just in the movie industry, they've like really mishandled Superman. He's kind of comes off as like weak and misunderstood, and he dies a lot, and he's just I think they could have handled the character infinitely better. Like I do feel like in general, the only character that DC has handled well is Batman, but like all their other characters, they've done a very poor job of. And I do think like the public perception of Superman has been kind of like mishandled, and he's a way cooler character in the comics and shows and all that stuff, but because most people just see the movies and that's it is what it is. So I do think anyone that isn't mainly focused on the movies will appreciate Superman a ton, but the people that, you know, a lot of the quote unquote normies and all they do is watch the movies, they're not going to put a lot of emphasis on Superman. So right now I'll probably put this here. Man, this is tough. It's so the left to right part is really hard. If I wasn't so focused on the left to right part, it's really difficult. I'll put it here for now. Actually, I'll put it here. above Steamboat Willie, but below R2D2. Man, Thor. I do think Secret Rare Thor, it's, again, I think his only issue is that he was birthed during like the very bottom of the market. You know, some people are complaining about his face. I think he looks fine for the most part. The lightning effects do look a bit scuffed in my opinion, but they could always update that and make it look better. But FA Thor, dude, like that is one of the OGs of the Avengers, one of the most classic and well-recognized characters in all of Marvel Comics. I'm surprised that he's, you know, he's at the prices where he's at now. And I do think this is one of those NFTs that could skyrocket very, very well. So, and again, I'll probably do some last minute movements because like now I'm looking at the list. I'm like, oh, this should be here. This should be here. So like maybe this is moved here. That's there. And again, I'm trying to think of just like mass appeal, and everyone has their own, you know, viewpoints, right? I do think Wonder Woman is a A-tier NFT for sure. Blue chip, that's tough to kind of do. And then Woody, I do think Woody is up here as well. Definitely above FA Steve Rogers, but maybe, yeah, probably put Wonder Woman there. Maybe above Goofy, because mainly just because like Goofy's the card. That's gonna really be up to like public perception, all that stuff. But he's definitely, I wouldn't put him higher than the Secret Rare versions of Black Panther. I think the main thing that holds Woody back is just the fact that he's a common, and there's actually quite a few mints for the most part. So yeah, I think this is pretty much my tier list. I'm sure I'm gonna look at this, you know, 15 minutes from now or literally the next day and be like, oh, I should have moved this around, or I think this is this. But yeah, this is what I think right now. I really enjoyed this list. Hope you guys liked it too. Go ahead and check out, please like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Please check out the description below so you guys can fill it out yourself, or if you have a content creator that you do want to see get this filled out, go ahead and link them this video so they can watch it, and on top of that they can click on the description down below to get the link to fill this out. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys take care. I'll catch you guys next time, and please double and triple check all of your listings so you don't screw yourself over, and take care.